Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday the 18th of December 2016. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
Just a little bit of fire.
And Robert Kemp.
It's the site of fire.
Yep.
It's where the fire happened. The burn site.
The burn site.
That's probably not why it's called that.
No, I have no idea. I haven't actually got the page open still. I don't know what burn site is.
We don't
Can't
know
tell
what
you
it
anything
is.
about it.
We don't know if it results from a burning at the site. Just found at the site of burnings.
Can't tell.
Maybe because it's almost certainly not spelled S-I-G-H-T. It's almost certainly S-I-T-E.
Yeah, it's definitely. It's not. Yeah, it's
That's
not.
what I mean.
It's not. Yeah, it's not burn vision. It's
No.
not like fire vision. It's definitely the place of fire.
Yeah, that's surely where you'd find it.
Or C-I-T-E, possibly.
No, it's
Yeah.
S-I-T-E this time.
Oh, it's S-I-T.
It's actually the location of fire. It's not a mineral at all. They're lying to me. It's an April Fool's Wolfram joke in December.
Very April.
Yeah, by the way, listeners, if you're wondering what the Wolfram thing is, that's we use Wolfram Alpha to get a random mineral
As our cue.
as the cue. Merry Christmas.
Not quite.
By the time you're listening to this, probably. Well,
No, it'll be up by probably tomorrow.
Yeah, should be up tomorrow morning.
yeah, well, 'tis the season and all that. You can still say it, can't you?
I mean, I
Can't say
suppose
it.
there won't be another podcast until after Christmas.
No. Then presumably it'll be a Happy New Year, depending on how long those take to go up.
No.
We don't know because we don't have a
Rob's not
schedule.
interested in schedules.
No.
No.
It's not how I function.
Well, this is our last regular cast before Game of the Year situations descend upon us.
Get hype.
Get hype for that.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like this year isn't necessarily a year to get hype about Game of the Year stuff.
No, it's true.
The part of the problem is it's been a lot of good games.
Well,
Like, there's not a lot
Yeah.
of bad things to talk about, which is where most of the hilarity lies.
I suppose, but also it's just like the ones that are the goodness of the good games all seem to be in a very predictable scale. It's like there doesn't seem like
Yeah.
there's going to be many arguments amongst various people's top tens this
I
year.
don't know.
No.
I think there might be a few.
Maybe like the top three, possibly. But I think beyond that, it's like here's the rest of the games that were any good.
Well, I will need assistance from you guys then to come up with some really stupid categories.
Yeah.
That's difficult.
Best
Yeah.
use of beef.
Well, the trouble is that we can come up with stupid categories, but they'll all only include one entry.
I don't know. Best use of beef already has 2 entries.
What's the
in
other
my
one?
head. Overcooked. It's got beef in it.
Okay, fine.
Not sure that entirely counts.
Beef as a mechanic.
But for now, what's been going on?
Not a great deal, to be honest, in my world. I've got no hilarious stories again. I'm having a boring professional lifestyle.
Oh dear. Are you still traveling?
I've got to go
time?
get some new new glasses. That happened.
Why? What happened?
Interesting.
Smash yours.
Yeah, no, it's not that. No, I'm just I was supposed to have an eye test back in March,
Oh.
and I actually went and had it.
You finally got around to it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it is. My eyes are precisely worse in the exact way that they predicted they would be worse, but back in
okay.
March. So,
What they
so
said.
I got that 6 months.
When you take this test that you need to take now, this is the results it's going to be.
Pretty much.
Please come and confirm this.
Well, pretty much, yeah. Because basically, what happened was last time I got my eyes done to get the pair of glasses that I'm wearing right now. My eyes were so far from my last prescription that they didn't want to do it in one go. That they were like, "We're going to ease you into this, so we're going to get as close as we dare with this set, and then come back in a bit, and then we'll give you another set." And I'm like, and in my head, of course, that means, dang, that's money.
Well, in your head, it's like they're just trying to extract more money from.
Well, a little bit, yeah. There's a bit of that, and it's like, and, you know, obviously, I've been wearing these for a while. I'm like, these are fine. I don't need to go get my eyes tested again.
Right.
And yeah, so I went back and got them tested again, and it was what they thought it was going to be in March. So it's like I got those 6 months back,
Oh yeah.
Well, 9 months, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a cheap business, is it?
No.
Especially if you want like nice, like thin lenses and nice frames.
Well, here's the thing as well. Like because my stupid prism lenses are so blooming thick, or they would be so thick, I have to pay for the extra thin lenses anyway because they won't fit in the frames.
Right. Yeah.
I have to pay for the thin version of the lenses,
And then you get
which I can only assume basically means they make it out of it
stuff as well.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, you need the anti-glare.
You need that.
Anti-glare is essential. But yeah, I assume what they call the thin upgrade is they just make it with a slightly thicker material, right? So it has more bend to it, more refractiveness.
I guess so.
Science.
Different kind of glass. I don't know.
Yeah. So I got to go get some more glasses.
Yeah. Are you going to go for a different style of frame though?
Well, I sort of have to, sort of. Actually, no, they're fairly similar to the ones I'm wearing right now, but I can't wear half frames anymore because the thick bloody lenses won't fit in them.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not quite at bottle cap lenses, let's put it that way.
Right. You're going to go for like
Eyes.
NHS specs, like massive frames?
No. Yeah, I'm
Not your style.
I'm sticking with my designers, yo.
Designers.
So glasses.
Yeah.
Don't sit too close to the TV, kids. You'll end up with my eyes.
Because I wear the same glasses. I wear the same every day since I got them. I don't know whether I should like go for like some more variety or something. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. I now have quite a lot of frames just hanging about. I've got like six different frames, of which 2 of them are only my most recent prescription.
Mm.
And I've got 5 frames because I lost one. And so but I've got 2 of my current prescription, and I could mix and match them a bit, but I sort of don't. I always wear the ones I'm wearing right now because they're lighter.
Oh, okay.
Like no other reason, they're just lighter, so they don't. Same with my last pair. Do you remember my littler pair? Like they just wore. I just wore those all the time because they were light.
You have glasses, right, Zach? Sometimes you wear
Theoretically.
Theoretical glasses.
If you're talking about how old Rob's glasses are, you want to talk about how old my glasses are.
Yeah,
they're super ancient.
Like how many years do you think? Like
I couldn't even begin to imagine.
You probably could if you actually thought about it for like 1 second.
More than 30, that wouldn't make any sense.
Then you can begin to imagine.
There's
a beginning to this imagination somewhere.
Are they 10 years old?
Maybe, I don't know.
What would that be? 2006?
Yeah, it's possible.
That would be after university, right?
Or
for you?
Yeah. I don't know. The thing is, I had to have glasses when I was driving.
Right.
So when I first started doing lessons, it was like, okay, if you have to have glasses, you have to have them.
Yeah.
And you would have to be able to legally read license plates at a certain distance, and I could at that point. So
yeah,
right. So even then, they were still functional. But whether that carried on for this whole, I don't think my eyes have got worse really in all that time.
In 10 years,
when I wear those glasses, they still have an effect of making things look sharper. But probably not as much.
Yeah, they still would, but they might not as much as they need to.
You should probably get your eyes tested, Zach.
Yeah, if it has actually been 10 years, yeah, do that.
I was going to say you could get it like paid for by your employer or whatever, but anyway.
You can theoretically get stuff like that on the job seekers.
Yeah.
If it's NHS.
Oh, right, NHS frames.
Yeah.
It's like the dentist.
I don't think I can apply for any of that stuff. Like they ask you outright. It's like, oh, can you get like NHS contributions towards this? And I'm like, I don't know. If you don't know, you probably don't. Like,
yeah, that's usually true.
And then so I clicked yes just in case, and it's like, oh, you need to have this form, and it's like, well, I don't know what that is, so I guess it's no then.
It's convenient that they tell you that in advance instead of being like, hey, give us that form now, and you're like, what?
Sorry, what?
Although when I did have my dentist stuff on the NHS, that on the job seekers, that was just like tick a box and sign your name. That didn't like they don't seem to do a very rigorous check at that point. They probably check it later and then like
probably.
This fucker or whatever.
Presumably your recent eye test, they did the sort of like puff test, like in the eye, like what? And like I swear, the machine that they did that on me this time was way more powerful than any puff test I've had in my eye
Super
before.
puff.
Yeah, it was basically like, well, we're just gonna blow a little bit, but then I didn't really get much warning either. It was just like, oh, we're just gonna do a little puff in your eye. You know, you'll barely notice it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the bloody hell was that?
Yeah.
Like I've been punched in the face. Sort of around the eye. Not actually in the eye.
Yeah, it's weird. I've had that a few times. Yeah. I don't know. They must have different machines at different places.
They probably have different like air pressure, where it's just like you're on the end of the canister, so it doesn't get as high pressure or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe I had a fresh eye puff.
Fresh air right in the eye.
It's probably a stylish, trendy oxygen bar or something that had that as one of its options. It's like, do you want to inhale this air? Do you want it to just chuck it in your face at high speed?
For air vacuum in the city,
yeah. It's the new form of vaping. Like vape through your eye.
What's the? Oh yeah, it's Cowboy Bebop, isn't it? The first episode that is all eye drops, illegal eye drops.
Oh yeah.
Which incidentally is on Netflix now. So if you've never seen it, go and watch it, listeners.
Woo!
I tried it and it defaulted to Japanese with English subtitles, and I was like, good.
Bonza. Good job, Netflix.
Yeah, so good job, Netflix. Although they're generally good with anime, actually, Netflix, even Netflix UK.
And the dub on about Bebop isn't super terrible. It's not great, but it's not the worst.
I'm sure it's fine. I just never would listen to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Why would you do that? Anyway, yeah. I'd never even seen a Ghibli movie dub, and they're supposed to be amazing.
Oh, I've seen. I think I've only seen dubbed Ghiblis.
Really?
Like we watched Spirited Away again the other night, and then I've only seen the dubbed version, the English version of it.
I saw Ghibli in the cinema recently, and it was subtitles.
Japanese, huh?
Yeah. When Marnie was there, it was the last one, supposedly.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if they didn't do an English one for that. Like, I don't know, maybe that one wasn't as expected to be as big as some of these other ones.
Yeah, maybe.
By the time they got converted.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that Disney had a hand in Spirited Away. Like, while it was being made, they were like, hey, we're going to fund, like, 20% of this as long as we get the rights to it and stuff. So it's probably why there was a push to make a decent English version of it.
So, yes. Disney own fucking everything and are making all the monies. Speaking of which, has anyone seen Star Wars? Because I watched Star Wars yesterday.
Have you seen it? Oh, no, we haven't seen it yet. You haven't seen it yet.
I saw it Friday. Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's good. It's the most action movie, Star Wars movie ever, I think. Yeah. So it's really good for action. Otherwise, like story-wise, it's it doesn't really matter because it's like the story already pretty much, and I didn't think they did a lot with the new characters or whatever, who obviously aren't going to matter going forward because it's all about Luke and Leia, etc. But the action sequences.
So, we might see old them in the real trilogy, do you reckon, or were they just going to carry on with this spin-off, or?
How do you mean? No,
Rogue 2?
No, I don't think there'll be a Rogue 2. I think it's done. I don't think they will do that. I think all of the Star Wars story anthology movies, the off-year movies, will be like standalone.
Just one-off.
Yeah. So the next one's Han Solo movie, young Han Solo, which could be terrible, but I mean this one was good. So, anyway, it's cool to see big battles with like classic stormtroopers and classic X-wings and stuff like that. So that was
done with proper modern tech.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think Zach and I were talking about this earlier, and like whether or not they'd be, like have the problem of it not looking like Star Wars anymore.
I mean, this one.
I mean, in my head, I'm like, that's not a bad thing.
Is the closest to the original trilogy Star Wars, right? So because it's the closest set of a modern film to the original.
But how plastic and grey and silly are the helmets?
They are the same, pretty much, I think. But it's the context where you use them or whatever. They made them look kind of like there's even it's in the trailer or whatever, but there's even like a kind of street battle that ripped from the headlines kind of urban combat type scenario, but with stormtroopers or whatever, and that actually worked well.
Sand planet, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a sort of sandy planet, more like red sandy planet. Jeddah, that's the place. It's in like a city on top of a mesa. Jeddah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sounds like just like someone's offhand comment about nickname for a Jedi that they know. Oh, it's our Jeddah.
Oh, it's Jeddah. Yeah. A lot of the names are quite dumb. Star Wars names in general have always been dumb, but like I don't know. The main character's called Jyn Erso. Which is okay,
Jyn?
I guess. Jyn.
We've had Qui-Gon Jyn before. So
yeah,
carrying on the Jyn thing.
The Jyn, yeah.
What's his botanicals?
Exactly. Yeah.
How frequent are you?
Definitely check it out, and then maybe we can talk about spoilers in like 3 years or something.
Potentially. Well, if it's a one-off, it's like the spoiler potential is higher, right? It doesn't matter so much.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter so much, but still, go see it. My brother, who is a big Star Wars fan, I watched it with him, and he loved it. So, even though I thought some of the dialogue scenes were, one of them in particular, I thought was really cringy. Well, not really cringy, but like there was a moment where I was like, "This is quite bad." Basically, there's a bit where the Jedi Council are like debating, and it just doesn't seem very
right
serious.
Well, those bits always kind of seem like the worst, right?
Yeah,
like the Jedi Council,
I mean, it was stupid.
Never seemed quite right.
No, it was but you'd think they'd get better these days. Like, I bet if J.J. Abrams did it, he would have done that scene well. I don't think he'd have put that scene in a movie, but anyway.
No, he'd have just had Simon Pegg turn up and tell everyone to shut up.
Yeah.
This. And then have a montage of everyone coming up with the same idea.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then drop some Beastie Boys.
Oh man, I really liked Star Trek Beyond. I thought it was pretty good. I kind of want to watch it again. That will be
available on Blu-ray.
Yeah, that will be a good one on TV at Christmas next year or whatever. Like, that will be a good one to just randomly watch, because it doesn't matter. Like, there's no story arc that you really need to care about from the other films or anything. You could just watch that as it's like a really spectacular, huge one-off episode of Star Trek, basically, which is really good. I mean, it had its flaws and stuff, but I thought it was pretty decent.
Speaking of films that were just sort of on, we'd finished watching something on the Skybox, and then just it came out of the recorded program back onto live, and Twilight Eclipse was on.
Oh yeah.
And I think it was sort of towards the end of it, and it's like, holy crap! How I don't know. Like, I think it's where they introduced the werewolves, I guess.
No, that must be New Moon, right? No, I don't know.
I don't know what order did they come in. I don't know.
Werewolves happen quite early, right?
Yeah, they do. They're in at least I think they're in the first movie, aren't they? The guy's in the first movie, yeah, but it doesn't focus on them. But I reckon Taylor Lautner is in the first movie, isn't he?
Maybe I didn't think so. No.
I thought he was. I thought he was like mending her freaking.
Well, if it's not the first, it's got to be the second then, right?
Yeah, the second one for sure.
Well, it felt like the second because it was like because they were playing hard on the love triangle.
Yeah. That's probably the second one, because where she like crashes her motorcycle for no reason or something. Doesn't that happen? I can't remember.
I didn't see all of it. Okay, let's be honest. I watched like 10 minutes of it, and Noam and I were just sat on the couch, spending most of these 10 minutes just occasionally going, "This is possibly the worst thing I've ever seen."
So I take it was in the middle section where they're all just talking and doing dumb.
Oh no, there was the big ass vampire versus werewolf fight.
Oh, so it was more like the end.
Yeah, I think it must have been near the end, but it was like there was a big old fight, and there's like
is that where they
basically starts with Arpat standing in the middle of a field, wintry forest, just going. It's like staring into nothing, going. It started, and then there's a bit of fighting, and then it cuts back to him going. And there's someone there.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant.
Nobody acts well in that thing. It's just the worst.
They are some of the best, shit movies to make fun of recent times. Because I mean, I've watched them all with riff tracks, and they are perfect for riffing on. Because I've tried watching like other bad movies like Transformers sequels, and the problem is that Transformers sequels are just shit flying all over the screen, and there's nothing. You can't really make fun of that. Like it's just a bunch of bombastic action. The only bits you can make fun of is and it's in like the bad stuff is in really bad taste. Like there's racist robots in there and stuff, and it's like it's just horrible. Whereas the Twilight movies are magical because like there's gaps in between all the stupid crap dialogue where you can insert jokes, and like there's a lot of meaningful stares and like sparkling and like just stupid crap all over the place. And her acting is shocking, and the script is terrible, and oh my God. I don't think it's not just her. In fairness, like although in fairness, like apparently, like in everything she's done after Twilight, people seem to like. I don't think she's that great. I mean, I think she's...
No, like, I hear a lot of critics go, yeah, but she's pretty good. She was in that film about cancer or something last year that was, like, Oscar nominated or maybe won, I don't know. And they were like, oh, it's a really good performance. And was it Kristen Stewart?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah. I thought she was all right as Joan Jett.
She's got a face like a slapped ass.
She's okay as Joan Jett in the film about, you know, what are they called? The Runaways. Anyway, but otherwise, I'm not a big... I mean, she was in like a romantic comedy with, or a couple of things with Jesse Eisenberg. Adventureland? Was she in... No, it was Emma Stone in the
It was Emma Stone in Zombieland.
Yeah, that was great. Adventureland, it was her, and I didn't even like her in that. So not a big Kristen Stewart fan, but I like the Twilight movies for being, you know, dumb and
just making fun of.
Yeah, just really.
They might be better if you just fill a room with us and just like constantly take the piss out.
Because exactly. Because I just remembered that there's like literally a sort of a scene or like, or maybe it's scenes around it to kind of, but without actually showing anything. But like after they get married or whatever, spoilers, they get married, and then they go. I think they go like on honeymoon, and then the idea is that they have sex so passionately that they break the bed. But it's like the most boring thing. Like they've managed to make that like really shit and dull and unexciting, which is quite impressive and weird. I don't know.
And yes, definitely weird.
Really weird.
Well, yeah, because there were some elements of the fight, right, where in theory at one point Taylor Lautner's character jumped into the fray, but you can't really tell that because he's a werewolf at the time. So it's just some dog has entered the fray, and then he just sort of falls over at one point because I don't know, the vampires can mysteriously have ash hands. Is that how it works or something? They turn stuff to ash every now and then?
I don't know, man. I mean, there's the last battle of the series. They're like twisting their heads off. Like the way to kill a vampire is to like twist their head to the side and pop it off.
There was a bit. There was a little bit of that in this. Like, yeah, they were holding onto people's heads and then they were just sort of falling out and then ripping arms off because they sort of turned into ice like ash or something. And they're just like frack. But then the thing is like you don't know that Taylor Lautner's in the fight, and then one of the dogs just sort of fall over, and then they do some other stuff happens very quickly. And then suddenly it cuts to just Taylor Lautner as a human on the floor going, ah!
Yeah,
and it's like, and it's just like, all right, what just happened? I couldn't see, like, none of this we could actually, they didn't do a transformation, like, from dog form to human form. It's just like, it's just him on there suddenly. And it's like, what happened to him? Was he involved? I don't know. It's like, and then they're just like, all the bones in the left side of his body are crushed. And it's like, sorry, what?
Oh, man. The only slight saving grace for these films is that Anna Kendrick is hot in it. That's about it. She's not in it very much either. She's not. Yeah, she's like the human friend or whatever sort of friend at the high school. She's barely in it, but she is in it. She's definitely in the first one. Anyway,
it sounds like she might be the most talented actress in this thing.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Anyway, yes,
because she's actually good.
Yeah, she's actually good. Right. Cool.
Don't watch Twilight.
Or do, but only watch it with the stupid riff tracks. I recommend looking those up on YouTube or paying for the tracks on rifftracks.com and syncing them up. That's the way forward. I watched one of them, I think probably the last one, with the riff tracks with John and Vanessa, and they loved it. So it was amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. Right, time for the news.
News!
Top story this week. Nintendo Switch news. Patent news. It's not Isaac. What's going on?
Yes, there was another. I guess at this point it's not actually a leak. It's just like the patents someone looked at the patents that exist.
Okay.
Right, so they could have found this out at any time.
Well, no, because they're like quite recent patents. I guess Nintendo is like has been holding back from patenting stuff too quickly or something. It's, I guess,
well, unlike that weird controller patent we had, like the oval controller.
I think because they went on for ages about how it's like, oh, we don't want to reveal anything because people might steal our ideas.
Right.
But then, like, in order to prevent people from stealing ideas, you have to patent it. So, it's like, is it just like this, like, trade-off there? Like, we have to wait as long as possible to patent this so people don't steal our ideas once they see our ideas. And then, like, but the patents are meant to protect people from stealing our ideas, but they can still make a subtle change because that's how patents work.
Because they've probably seen what's been happening in the Apple and Samsung world, right? Where the phones are pretty much the same, but not quite patent infringing in some ways. And patent infringing in other ways.
I mean, patent law is so confusing, and I'm not surprised like Einstein gave it up for something a bit more easy to understand.
Yeah,
like relativity.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't really do the patent law, though, did he?
No, he was just a clerk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
He just signed forms.
That was supposed to be a shit joke.
Yes, I know. I was pointing out why it was a shit joke.
Thank you. Oh dear.
We all stand together on Saladcast.
So what's the deal with the particulars of the patents that we care about?
This new, but possibly not new patent that's turned up. There's basically like 4 things that I saw that I thought were actually interesting about it. So the first one was where they show the like diagrammatical, here's some boxes with words in representation of the circuitry. It specifically calls out touchscreen, motion controls, and NFC inside the screen.
Well, NFC makes sense because it was always going to have Amiibo.
Well, yes, but we weren't totally sure about that.
Yeah. So
there was potential for them to drop it.
Do we know if do we know? So there's accelerometer stuff or Wii sort of stuff, but at what extent? Like, and if it's in the screen, does that mean it's not in the little the slide out controller parts?
Well, I mean, it could still technically have the processors in the screen and have just data coming from the controllers, essentially.
Yeah,
maybe.
But then it would have to have the accelerometer or the sensors.
Well, like,
controllers.
I didn't see an internal diagram of the controllers. It only showed the internal, and it's not really like a circuit diagram. It's just like a square, and it says accelerometer controller or whatever, touchscreen controller, and it's like that's basically saying there's a chip in there that does a thing.
But presumably, it's not the kind of extent of motion control as the Wii, which had the light and the candles. Or whatever.
Well, I mean that's what the previous rumor about. Theoretically, they're somehow using the top of the screen, or there are actually sensors along the top.
Yeah, or an IR blaster in one of the Joy-Cons.
Yeah. So we don't actually really know about that. There wasn't any more specific about that. And then the second thing that was interesting...
Well, the whole thing there is touchscreen as well.
Yeah, touchscreen.
The whole... And the dichotomy of control that creates, depending on how you're using the device.
Yeah, whether you've got it docked or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before, though, didn't we?
We did, because it was rumoured but not confirmed in any way, whereas this sounds like it's a bit more confirmed.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be dumb if it wasn't a touchscreen, I think. Although, the question is about the software, really, isn't it?
Yeah. You might end up with this split control base, but I'm not 100% sure that's a problem, right? Because
I mean, what I kind of suggested before is you kind of have to design your game responsively, like a website or whatever, where I think that makes sense, where because that's how responsive design works, is you choose
surely there are certain games that would require that could potentially do something interesting with multi-touch on a capacitive screen or something like that, some stuff that we've been used to seeing on phones and iPads and things like that could happen that you then can't play on the docked version.
But I don't think you can't really release that, can you? Or
I don't know. But like that, this depends entirely on will Nintendo allow it or not. And if they don't
think there'll be Switch games that you can't play on the TV. I don't think.
Because my problem with that is I think they'll want to keep some of the DS style games, if this is going to be their single platform moving forward, they don't want to stop people from doing touch-based experiences.
Are they saying it's their single platform? No.
Well,
people
they're
suggesting
not.
that
But
they're going to keep the 3DS.
I think they might even replace the 3DS. Ultimately,
you reckon?
Yeah,
like 3DS too.
Because I think the market for that is, or whatever it's called. I think the market for that is like basically kids mostly. And what happens is that siblings, like if you have 3 brothers, they all get their own DS, don't they? And that's tons of money. That's how they make it. That's not going to work with a Switch, you know. And all the brothers have to have a DS, and they have to have a different version of Pokemon, and then they all trade. That's how they make all that piles of money.
Maybe, but then,
and also Japan don't buy consoles anymore, so.
But they could just do that with the Switch.
Yeah, but we don't know if that will work. Yeah, because it might be that Japan won't buy the Switch either.
Well, I think that's actually why they're doing this, right? Because if Japan don't buy consoles, then it's like, well, we've made a handheld that can be a console if you want. So it appeals to all markets.
Yeah, but will it work? I think they'll probably hedge their bets.
Well, the Vita does pretty well in Japan. A Switch is basically Nintendo's Vita. So, but I bet it will work.
Like, Vita is more like a DS, isn't it? It's like fully portable, right? Like, not that the Switch isn't, but I reckon the Vita will have better battery life than a Switch by like some margin. Wouldn't you think?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
maybe
I don't got better battery in the Switch now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't think the original Vita's battery life was actually very good at all. Because the PSP, do you remember when that came out? Its battery life wasn't very good.
No, I mean, but PSP was weird because it was like the first consumer device with a really good screen, like pre-iPhone. Right? It was pre-iPhone, right?
Yeah, significantly.
It was like the first really nice LCD screen in a consumer device that I knew of.
With a lot of black and red bleed,
and a lot of dead pixels.
But it was pretty. Yeah,
but it was amazing.
It was pretty good for the time.
Yeah, so no wonder it drained the battery. I mean, I had one and I really liked it.
No wonder it drained the battery because it was having to spin a bloody disc.
Yep.
But,
that too. Yeah, mechanical moving parts. That was a bit dumb.
But even if you went digital on it, and got a big old memory stick and started loading digital games onto it, it still didn't last particularly long.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that thing was cool. I really like Wipeout Pure. And even the Ridge Racer game I liked. In fact, I like quite a lot of games on the Lumines. That was, some great games. Anyway.
The original 2 Lumines games. Yeah. Clearly the best.
So the second thing in the Switch patents, slightly less interesting, is when they showed the dock, it had it didn't have the front thing on the screen. The screen was visible. Like it was instead of the sandwich way that they showed it in the video.
Oh, weird.
They had it cut down on the front.
But the real thing has the sandwich
drawing or something.
Yeah.
Because the real thing.
I don't reckon it will be too. Yeah, I don't reckon it'll be too different from what we've actually seen on their video.
Probably not. So that might just be old patent.
Because they must be manufacturing it now. Right?
I mean, they've showed a real one on Jimmy Fallon now. Did you see that?
That's also true.
Yeah, they've shown a real one now.
And then the third interesting thing was that they showed different Joy-Cons.
Oh, really?
They showed there's one image shows the screen with 2 Joy-Cons on the side, but both the Joy-Cons are the same, like mirrored. Like both the joysticks are at the top.
Right, so they're like the current Pro design. Well, no, actually, they're just the current Wii U design, right? Sticks at the top.
Both sticks at the top. And then there's also a separate image that shows a Joy-Con that has a D-pad instead of buttons under the joystick.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I don't know what that's going to mean. Are they going to sell them separately?
Maybe, but that sounds like it could be just like an early mock-up that was just like, well, we'll use the Wii U's style design for this.
Maybe.
I reckon the design is finalised now, and the patent doesn't reflect it necessarily.
I think you might. That is an interesting thought, though. The possibility of having extra or different Joy-Cons.
Yeah,
surely that could actually happen.
Well,
that would be cool.
They also showed in that patent that theoretically you can sync 4 Joy-Cons to one screen for multiplayer, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, it'd be kind of nice to have like a retro, where you just have a D-pad and like 2 buttons. That'd be hilarious for Virtual Console NES stuff or whatever.
Yeah, that would be weird. It'd be cool if they made it the NES colours, so you just have a weird NES coloured thing attached to the side of your screen.
Yeah, well, you could, because there's nothing else. It's just a very thin black bezel, right? So you could pretty much theme it however you want.
And then the last thing that was in this patent thing, which is the thing where I was happiest because I totally predicted it, is they showed the screen going into a headset in the patent.
Oh, wait, what? VR?
Yep. Just what I said would happen.
Right.
Wait, so there must be accelerometers in the screen part as well as the Joy-Cons.
That points to that why the controller chips are inside that.
I mean, that's cool.
And then, in the text of the patent, it also describes how it uses the accelerometers to allow you to control the screen by looking around. And then I was like, yep, that's how VR works, I guess.
But it'll be the equivalent of like a
VR or
phablet
cardboard.
VR, yeah. But that screen is not as high res even as a phablet, right? Right? Is it? I don't think it's as well. It depends on the phablet, I suppose, doesn't it? I think it's 720p, right? Which would be quite low split across two eyes. I can't remember what phablets are these days. I think they're higher res than that.
Oh no, some phablets go right up, right? Like most normal phones go right up to 1080, don't they? So and beyond.
Yeah, so if they're going beyond 1080 on a phablet size screen, then I think this will be like one of probably the worst commercially available kind of VR quality, right?
Yeah, it depends even if the screens are that high, it depends if like VR phablet and phone stuff actually renders that, the old classic, like maybe they have to down sample anyway because they
don't have power.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it will have more power than
maybe
almost all phones, at least when it comes out, in terms of pure gaming.
Yeah, in theory, in terms of its discrete graphics capabilities, probably.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I'm excited for the Switch. I really want to get one.
I kind of hope it does replace 3DS, right? Because one of the biggest, or at least,
I mean, for me that'd be great.
Or at least if the big games that come out on 3DS also get a Switch version, even if it's not really a graphical upgrade, right?
That is happening, right? Because of Pokemon, right?
Well, that's a special case.
Yeah, that's a sort of
because the Pokemon might as well not be a 3DS game for as much as it uses the 3DS technologies.
I suppose.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
it's also probably the best 3DS game that came out in this year.
Yeah,
one of the few.
The only problem is that 3DS stuff that uses two screens probably won't directly translate to Switch immediately. You'll need these special versions of everything. But
that didn't really happen with the Wii U, did it? Because it had more chance of happening with the Wii U, and it didn't really.
Well, they put the DS emulator.
There is a DS emulator, and you can do that. You can put
but it's not a big thing.
No, it's and it's old DS. It's not 3DS. They didn't put 3DS on Virtual Console.
Right.
But look, because there's been so many times where there's been 3DS games where it's like, well, I'm just like, I would rather play this on a big screen, like on a couch rather than on this little device, and it's which it'd be nice to have that option for all their big games moving forward. I don't want this split of platform if we can help it. And this seems like the perfect device to achieve that. But maybe you're right about the marketing argument you make about the price points and kids and stuff. That is still valid, and it's maybe they will. I don't think they'll update 3DS. They'll just perhaps keep that and 2DS alive for that market. Because is there a need to update that? I'm not sure there is. If that's what they want to use it for, that's what it does.
The trouble is what about Pokemon? That's the trouble. It's
what
just
about Pokemon?
It runs so badly on the 3DS.
The new one's better for that.
Well, better, but not great. And it barely uses the 3D, of course.
Sure.
Because who cares about 3D, really? But and then you turn it on and it runs worse. And it's just the next Pokemon game is going to have to be on the Switch. Because they want to make something more ambitious, apparently, at this point.
Yeah,
well,
maybe.
Good for them. I don't know. It sounds positive anyway. Things sound good. I'm excited for this.
Let's see some actual games now.
I'm excited about the potential that the Switch might just plug directly into my monitor. That would be nice.
That would be amazing.
If it just uses a regular SHDMI cable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
why wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. It's like, finally, Nintendo might have caught up to modern display technology.
Well, I just need to figure out how to get sound out of my monitor into my amplifier or whatever. That's the only thing I need to work out.
Does your monitor kit support sound in general?
Yeah, I think it does.
So you could probably get an awkward cable coming back out of your monitor into your.
My monitor has headphone jack, so
I'm going to have to do that. So see what the quality there.
I mean, if you had a TV, you'd probably have RCAs coming out the back. You could just phono into your stereo, but then I guess you won't get surround if the games have surround.
Yeah. Anyway, it's doable.
Well, you get an AV receiver that supports surround. There you go.
Yeah, those are expensive, man. Anyway.
Yeah, because they're good.
Right. Cool. That's Switch news. Any other Nintendo news? No.
When's their conference happening? It's like January the 17th, right?
Yeah, something like that. There's going to be some more official Switchy stuff coming.
So apparently the Switch is going to be playable at the Rooster Teeth conference in February.
There's also something happening in early next year that they're running a competition for to let the public have a dab at using one. But that was in the Nintendo newsletter, at least.
Okay, next story this week. The DualShock 4 is fully compatible with Steam now. So so they made it compatible with the PC over Bluetooth a while back, right? Originally you couldn't really do it without hacking around. And then they made it officially supported, right? But now it has full Steam integration, so I guess.
I assume that means that Steam, maybe the Steamworks or Steam API stuff, will now exposed to games. Well, but the games presumably have to deal with that themselves anyway. Oh yeah, right? This must be just for big picture.
I guess so, but I have
so
noticed
it correctly
that
labels the buttons.
For quite a while now, if you use a 360 pad, it just works in almost all PC games that make sense with a gamepad. So
X input is the default for most.
Yeah, so if that is now true or will be true in the short term for the DualShock 4, that's really good because you want to be able to use one or the other. And
the DualShock probably isn't using X input, is it? It might be using direct input, so it might be using the same stuff that the new Xbox controller does,
right?
Because that's not X input anymore.
But I've seen PC Gamer now recommend the DualShock 4 is the best controller for a PC.
No.
360 controller.
Yeah, still the 360 controller, honestly.
They're saying that as the budget choice.
It's like when I was...
It's still great, is the thing. It's I don't understand why that's considered the budget choice. It's still a brilliant controller.
It's like when I was thinking about how the top of my control stick is wearing down because I've used it so much, of course, in the classic way that they do. I was thinking shit, I might actually have to buy a 360 controller in advance of this one becoming bad because it won't be long. You won't be able to get them any longer.
Well, I think there are some games that still don't actually support the Xbone controller at all. It just won't work. And who knows how they're doing the PS4 ones. I bet there are some games that just don't work.
Yeah.
Well, that's why this is good news. If they start to fix.
No, but if Steam, there'll be some games that will never get patched, right? It's never going to be universal. You'll work with the games where it lets you map things in the old style way. It's hey, do you want to just enjoy one?
Just hit buttons, and providing that Windows is aware of it.
But there are some games that specifically call out X input as a thing, and that becomes a problem for those. When the 360 controller revolution started to happen, in fact, that was when they started tapping into this thing. So you might find some. I reckon you might find some games at the dawn of released around the dawn of the 360 and early 360 days that if you went back to, you might have some problems.
Man, that's a while ago though. But yeah.
Yeah. But if you remember Meat Boy specifically going, hey, you need a 360 controller for this and things like that.
And then I said, fuck that, play it with the keyboard.
Yeah.
You're mental. Okay. That's that.
Don't get me wrong, it's nice to have choice, but I do worry about it. I always worry about it complicating things. And besides, the 360 controller is still the best.
Yep.
Even though I like the Xbone controller a lot, I still think I prefer the 360 controller after all.
Yeah. Know what you mean. They tried too hard to improve on it and it didn't quite.
Yeah, and every time the PS4 controller, I don't particularly. I'm not a big fan of it actually. The last couple of times I've used it, I think there's something about those sticks in the middle thing that I still don't like. And when I've admittedly, my thumb, I'm pretty like bad at this on wear controller. If my thumbs fall off the stick, on the PS4 controller, you almost always land on that black PlayStation button in the middle. And it's like, oh, balls. I've now got in a menu. How do I get back to the game? And it's a little bit more awkward on a PS4 to like go back to a game, like if you accidentally end up in a menu, especially if you're playing as a guest, because it then tries to create a guest account for you. And it's like, no, don't do that. Let's just get back to the game. No. Yeah. I'm not a massive fan. Doesn't bother me. Screw that thing.
What else?
Probably good if you're a PS4 owner.
That's what I mean. I think it's good if you're a PS4 owner because those are not cheap. Or none of them are, really.
No, they aren't really. I am still tempted about one of those Design Lab controllers. Or maybe one day an Elite.
Yeah, they do.
I know it's stupid money, but they're cool.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Do you want to talk about this Denuvo thing?
Weight.
What's the deal? Some kind of piracy?
I don't really know, to be honest, but it's like it's one of those copy protection DRM-y sort of tools that has been sort of secretly in quite a few games of recent, but then a lot of games are pulling it out.
But the story I saw about it suggested that supposedly they have something in their like contract with developers where it's like, if your game gets hacked within the first month, we'll refund you and then you can just remove it. So people have been speculating whether those games are doing that because of that, or it's just because they're done with Denuvo.
Yeah. Oh, that's a very good question. Yeah. Yeah, maybe some games, there's pirated versions out. Your stuff didn't work.
Yeah. Whether that contract actually exists or not, I don't actually know.
Which is true of any DRM thing ever, right? Like, it's always been broken.
Well, I mean, if that is in the contract, I guess that's sort of a step forward
I guess,
on the DRM front. It's like they're admitting that if people can hack our shit, then it's obviously not working right.
That's a pretty good guarantee from Denuvo, if that's true, yeah. But then kills their entire business.
Well, yeah, that's sort of the problem, because it's not like they've made a bespoke DRM for every single game.
I think you sort of do.
Well, sort of to some extent, but not like it would be running on some overall architecture that they've already built and just modified to fit the game.
I wonder if people are starting to realize, like, because a lot of these DRM kits are often like a root kit of some kind or something horrible that you really don't want on your PC. Like, was it? I want to say Stardock, but I'm not sure that's true.
I think Stardock
is a product of Stardock or something that was like GTA 4's DRM or something, and it was Stardock's a rootkit. And then a few other Spore might have used it. I seem to remember Spore had something nasty
Spore had
as well.
Something bad.
And it's like, and then the internet suddenly goes, no, we don't want any of this rootkit stuff. And so eventually publishers started not using it.
But now they started again, basically.
Yeah.
A lot of people use Denuvo, apparently, and it's just not made obvious at all.
No, I mean, I'd never heard of it until this news sort of started coming out.
I think even Planet Coaster uses it.
Denuvo. Bad name, though. Denuvo. It's like someone shrugging a little bit, isn't it? Denuvo.
Denuvo. Let's see. Age of Empires 2 is getting an expansion pack. How many years has that been? A lot of years since the last one. This is because of HD, right? And people have started playing it and stuff. Apparently, there was like Bill Gates did a Reddit AMA like last year, and the most upvoted question was, "Please, can we have some more Age of Empires 2?"
Is it actually an expansion for actual Age of Empires 2, or is it for the
HD
one? Well, that's a good question.
I don't know.
If it's an expansion for actual Age of Empires 2, that would be pretty funny.
That would be pretty great.
But I think it might be the same game at this point, because I think if you owned it, you might get HD. Like, it might be the same game, and technically, or something. So,
but then how are they delivering that? I don't know.
Yeah, because Age of Empires 2 would have been well before any like licensing.
Yeah,
it would just been a fucking disc.
I mean, you've got Age of Empires 2 like Classic Edition on Steam. Has that existed before this HD pass?
I don't think
so. But I think you could use your disc key or whatever to unlock a free copy of HD.
That would be really generous of them if that's true.
Not really. Who's got their SD key lying around? Anyway.
You can always keep the box, keep the manual. That's where the CD keys are.
Well, if you did, you're in luck. Anyway,
It would just be in the case of that your disc is probably in, right? Like,
Probably. Unless
So,
you
yes.
unless you cracked it and just kept a zip file with a crack in forever.
Sure.
So there you go. Wallalo.
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 Is that the name of the expansion?
I wish. You know that, don't you? Do you ever play that game? That's the noise that the priests make when they're trying to convert enemy units or whatever.
I never really played any of the Age of Empires, to be honest.
2 was pretty good. Well, obviously, otherwise people wouldn't be like making fuss about it.
It was a classic rock paper scissors RTS, though, right?
Yes, that's all it is. It's almost the classic rock paper scissors RTS because it's the most rock paper scissors of any of them. Maybe not StarCraft, I suppose, but yeah. Yep. And then
I'm trying to remember what the fuck was that game called that I played that was just after Age of Empires, but it wasn't by Microsoft.
Rise of Nations?
No, before that.
Wasn't by Microsoft. Like, not the... I'm thinking of the World War II one, like Close Combat or something like that.
No, it was just like Age of Empires. It had the same, like, Stone Age up to whatever progression. But it was, like, better graphics than Age of Empires.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, I remember.
Time after, wasn't it?
What was that stupid thing? Yeah, and it was kind of crappy.
Yeah, kind of bad.
Yeah. Oh, shit, I can't remember, but I do know.
I feel like it was called Planet something, but that's not right. Or Earth something.
Or did it have... It was Empire Earth?
Empire Earth, that might be
Empire
it.
Earth. I'm going to have to go.
That sounds like it should be a space game. Empire Earth, I don't know.
Yeah, that is it. Empire Earth. Well remembered. And that game was weird.
That was a weird, like... Because that was, like, jammed in there between Age of Empires and Rise of Nations. It was just like this, the remake of Age of Empires, except not.
Get it on good old game still.
Of course you can.
But this is sort of polygonal.
Yeah, it was like Age of Empires, except, no, it's actual graphics.
Right. Weird.
I might still have the disc for that.
I expect you do.
Get playing.
I'm definitely recognising the cover of the manual.
Yeah. Okay. So that game came out in 2001. Right. What else we got? Oh, Hitman DLC. So apparently this is... I mean, in general, there's been quite a steady stream of good Hitman DLC. We should get into this game, I think. They're very keen on it on Giant Bomb. We should probably give it a try.
I don't know, but yeah, maybe. I mean, Hitman in general, like, to be perfectly... I mean, and a lot of people have been saying this, to be fair. Like none of the Hitman games have ever appealed to me.
Really?
And at the moment, like, yeah, not any of them. And, you know, we're seeing this one at this point, like, actually possibly being the what turns people to Hitman this time. Like, even people that like looked at all the entire series and
finally got it right, the actual original concept. Yeah.
But I'm still sat in the position where it's like, nah. Something about it still doesn't appeal to me. I love its existence, let's put it that way. But if there's something... Maybe the old stealth game problem in my head is still kicking about, but it's like there's something about it is still like this still doesn't seem like I would have a great time of it. Like the setups and the amount of time you need to put into it and things like that. The excess of the run and then the failure of the run being such a massive drawback. Maybe it would put me off too much.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I can't say. I think you're probably right. It's probably just not the game for you or whatever, but that's cool.
But for people who like that, like, you know, are willing to accept failure.
But it's like...
I never fail.
That's the thing, is like, it seems like, from what I'm hearing from like Giant Bomb and stuff, it's like, it's a very video game that kind of doesn't seem it. So like, you have to jip it basically, or you don't have to jip it, but that's the way to play, is to know the system and how it works, rather than thinking of it as a real, work.
Sure. That's kind of true of all stealth games in theory. You know, you need to
I guess.
pick out how they're...
But some are better. Then, like, I thought, obviously you had to do that for Metal Gear Solid 5, but I thought it was the best so far of being more real and the enemies reacting. I thought the AI was really good in 5, but it doesn't have to do as complicated a thing as Hitman. Where there's all these different characters interacting with each other and stuff so much. It's just like a base, mostly, isn't it? But anyway, I thought...
Yeah, and it does unrealistic things like people repeating their routine, right, and having the same conversations as they do a loop around the... so you can come in at the right... So you can observe what they do, and then they'll do it again, which most people wouldn't.
You wouldn't do in real life. But,
it's still a video game-y-ass video game.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it wasn't too bad for like repeating the conversations, but I guess the loop definitely was there.
There was something they were talking that I've heard people talk about where it's like this guy would order a drink at the bar and the barman wouldn't know how to do it, and then so they'd have a little bit of an argument, and then he'd go and do his loop, and then he'd come back and order the same drink at the bar, and the barman wouldn't know how to make it.
Oh right, okay.
And you could intercept.
That in Hitman? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. That's very gamey. I thought you were talking about Metal Gear. I didn't.
No. Well, Metal Gear didn't really have people specifically having a conversation as part of their loop, did they? Really?
Occasionally guards.
They'd step to the side, wouldn't they, and have a conversation. But then I guess it's not like it was on a loop, but you would hear that same conversation a lot during certain parts of the game, right? They'd still step to the side and have a conversation that you'd heard before. But,
sometimes, but that was more convincing than it. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think Metal Gear
dialogue aside,
the actual problem is less complicated for Metal Gear, but the implementation was really impressive in terms of feeling more real and being easier to suspend your disbelief because it was like better. Whereas Hitman, it's like it's basically a clockwork toy, and if you're cool with that and you enjoy it, then it's about finding the ways you can interact with the toy rather than thinking, yes, this is real or whatever. That seems to be the key to it. But for me, I like having the suspension of disbelief. So the more real it feels, the better for me, or whatever. So it's interesting. But I can see how, yeah. But anyway, the news today was just what was it? Oh yeah, the fact that there's characters in the Christmas DLC that are like the Home Alone characters that you have to like take revenge on. On the two guys, I guess, from Home Alone 1. What are
they called? The clean bandits? They call themselves or something because they flooded places afterwards, or
right?
The clean bandits or the wet bandits or something.
I can't even remember the wet bandits.
There was some dumbass name that they would try. There's a whole bit, isn't there, where they try and come up with a name for themselves. Wet bandits.
Man, that movie was good. Right. That's
Damn
that.
Thieves.
And then finally, apparently, you were saying, Rob, that some executive from Konami has joined Kojima Productions.
Well, yeah, a president of Konami is now a president of Kojima Productions. So this was obviously, I guess, the one guy that Kojima got on with.
He escaped.
He managed to leave the Towers of Doom.
Yeah,
before it was all over.
I can't work on this Metal Gear pachinko machine forever.
Not that he was working on that.
No, probably not.
And that's the news.
That's pretty much it. I got nothing.
It's time for what you've been playing. Who wants to talk? Rob?
I like to talk.
What have you been playing, man?
Titanfall. A lot of Titanfall.
Yeah, not Titanfall.
Yeah, Titanfall 2.
So let's just wait and see whether this is actually Titanfall or not.
No, I haven't been playing. Yeah, no, I haven't been playing Titanfall 1. I've been playing a lot of Titanfall 2.
So I assume you can get some games of Titanfall.
Oh yeah. No, it's still populated enough. Like I've still never had a problem on the PC.
Oh, good.
So it's don't let that put you off right now.
Are you
it's
playing
still
with
good.
people in the UK, or is it just sort of?
Yeah, well, it does the data server thing like the first game did. So I'm attached to the London data server,
right.
And then you can pick other servers or anything. And I think like the population you see is purely the people that are currently on that data center. So it's the numbers you see in game aren't the global numbers. They'll be the well, maybe they are. I guess you don't know, but it's always okay. There's matches are generally lacking in lag, so I would assume that they are nearby. That is the worst game in the world if you do get lag, though, because everything moves so fast in that game. You get one guy that's a little bit laggy, and no one can hit him for crap. It does suffer when you come across that. But yeah, in terms of the multiplayer, I've not had really any problems at all. It's a blast to play. It's just
sweet.
Like, it definitely took over Overwatch as I need to play some multiplayer game. What do? I'm going to play some Titanfall.
Sweet.
It totally took over up until Overwatch started its new event, but we'll talk about that later. But right now it's just just want to go back. It feels so good, and Bounty Hunter's a great mode, and you're like, I just want to. You're not really unlocking guns and stuff, but you just kind of want to unlock more skins, and you want to just progress through. It's like there's so many little chains of there's so many little like progression trees. You're getting experience and to fill many bars, and then when those bars fill up, it feels good.
Many bars.
Yeah, fill the bars, and it helps that the actual core game actually just plays super well as well. So
yeah, I mean, it sounds like they really focused on the movement and gunplay stuff.
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, it's exactly the same as it was before. Like you still have the same move set, and it still feels just as good as it always used to. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the grappling hook, which is their sort of big addition. I haven't been able. I don't know how to use it effectively, so I've just sort of not been.
I mean, Jeff was saying that the stim thing that makes you go fast is way better anyway.
But it's kind of funny because you can just sneak up on people when they least expect it using that thing. Like you'll have a little fight with them, and they'll peg your position. So then you'll stim, take a long roundabout route to get behind them super quick, and then just surprise them. And you're like, haha! It's pretty satisfying.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and it's one of those games where if you play it too much, you start trying to do the things that you do in other games. So I immediately started trying to wall run in Overwatch. And
so
it's like
play Lucio.
Yeah, you play Lucio, and then when I'm playing as Lucio, and I realize I can wall run, and it's like, oh, I can't double jump. Damn it!
Yeah.
It's the bleeding effect in Titan that you want. You want every game to be like Titanfall. It's a bit of a problem, but not its own.
Who invented double jump? Like, it's such a weird concept, but it's so good. Like, what game?
Yeah, it must be like early platformers, right?
Yeah, but how early? Like, I
can't remember many 2D platformers doing it, but old school 2D
Sonic
platformers doing it,
right? With the
Electro Shield.
Yeah, the Electro Shield sort of was, yeah. So Sonic 3
must have been before then. That can't have invented double jump.
No, I honestly don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, there's probably some obscure game we would never have heard of.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
We didn't play like NES games or anything.
Does Starquake count as an infinite jump because of its cloud?
That's not even a jump.
That's not a jump, yeah. Because double jump is a dumb idea. Why would you be able to jump off thin air and only do it once?
Yeah.
It's so weird, but it's awesome.
I mean, when they put it into like things like, well, your boots have to recharge, right, and they only can do that on the ground for some reason because they're stabilizing you in the air, then maybe they sort of argue that away. But
yeah, it's fine. I don't care the justification. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway. Cool.
I'm assuming it's the same thing with this. Like the jump pack can only work, but then it's like on all the time if you're wall running and then double jumping to another wall and then double jumping from that wall to another wall. It's like your jump pack never gets a break in that case. So it's like,
yep. So what mode are you playing mostly, or?
I mostly play the Bounty Hunt, which is the new mode.
Oh yeah. That's the one with
the
the banks, right? Where you have to.
Yeah, it's pretty great because it combines the best bits about like just pilot on pilot combat versus and the AI stuff, and sort of just mashes them into a competitive way that works way better than they do sort of on their own. I'm not saying that attrition is a bad mode, where random enemy dudes are just on the map and you can get points by killing the easy AI or more points by killing pilots.
Yeah.
Neither am I saying that pilots versus pilots, like when they take all the AI out, isn't fun, because it is. That's pretty great as well. But like, there's just a combination of those two things that works so well in Bounty Hunt. Like, so all of the AI on the map is neutral; it doesn't belong to either side. But both teams are fighting to kill as many of the neutrals as they can to earn money. And so kills against the enemy team don't directly earn you money. But when you kill the neutrals, you gain half of the money goes immediately into your bank, and half of the money goes onto you as a bonus on your character, which you will need to bank later. Mm-hmm. So then when you kill players that have money still hanging around as bonus, you get half of their current bonus as your own.
Right.
So at the end of each
and you can
neutral
see
wave,
their bonus above their head or something, can you? Or?
I'm not sure you can actually.
Right.
I think you only get it as once you've killed someone. You
so
can
you
see
don't
how much you
know
claim.
if someone is valuable until you kill them.
I honestly don't know. I've played a lot of that mode, and it's honestly, if it is there, I just can't see it.
Right.
I'm not focusing on that.
Because that would be pretty weird or pretty cool, arguably. I don't know, if you had a more and more of a target above your head, the more you killed or whatever.
Maybe, but then maybe not. Like, I don't know, because you can ruse it, I guess. Like, you can just be jumping around, and it's like, I haven't got any money, but you killed me. Ha! You gained nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
You wasted your time chasing me. I quite like that as a concept.
That's
in the
quite
game.
funny. Well, you just run around distracting people from the core
the distraction
team.
tactic becomes valid because it's like, I'm not worth anything. Ha!
That's quite funny.
But yeah, like the sort of the rhythm of the waves works really well, and as with a lot of Titanfall's modes, it's like the moment where the Titans start dropping in, the whole game sort of shifts in feel as well. Like, so there's this evolving nature to Titanfall games that are pretty great, So you got your first wave, which will just be grunts on the ground, and everyone's pilots at the time. And then upon completion of that wave, you get your banking phase. Everyone goes to that. And then once you've done your banking phase, the next target is always a single Titan. The next neutral thing will be a Titan somewhere on the map. So by that point, you really want to be the team with getting your Titans up and ready to go. So you can get that,
Titan,
so you can get that neutral Titan, and then at that point the feel of the map starts to change, because then by the time the next neutral wave comes along, the third neutral wave is dudes on the ground, but they'll have the slightly stronger stalker enemies involved. So you might want to have your Titan about at that point to be able to kill the stalkers, but then the next one is two Titans. So there's a sort of strategy, I guess, to when you might want to call your Titan in most to deal with the neutral wave. And it's, I don't know, I just think it works super well. It feels like they found the balance the game desperately needed to make its ideas come together.
I'm just still worried about this population thing. I'm glad you're saying that there's plenty of people to play with.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've never had a problem. So
okay, that's great.
It's lower than it is low, but like the numbers aren't particularly inspiring.
Are you going to get in on this?
It's not been a problem.
Can your PC run it? What's the situation there? Are you into this?
If you could run Titanfall 1, I would argue you can run Titanfall 2.
I mean, you played 1, didn't you, Zeg?
Yeah.
Are you at all enthused about 2?
I don't know. There's other stuff to play. That's the main problem.
Okay, fair. What, in the multiplayer realm? Like Battlefield?
Well, yeah, we still haven't played Battlefield enough.
Right.
And they've patched
really.
it. So.
Yeah, they've patched Battlefield. We haven't gone back to it yet, but they have patched Battlefield to fix some of the shotgun problems. Specifically,
hopefully, at least.
Well, they have specifically said that they've made some changes to address people targeting that one shotgun that everyone loved because it worked really well at long range.
Although, kind of worryingly, in those patches, they also suggested that they had buffed some of the other shotguns to make people want to use them more. And it's like,
that's not exactly what we wanted. Yeah.
Just leave nerfs only, please.
Yeah, but they and the one free map they were going to make has come out.
Yeah,
so there's that as well.
I haven't seen that yet.
Do you?
But then that's the reason you should get on Titanfall, because all the DLC will be free. Like,
do you
unless
use
you
a
want
headset when
skins.
You play, or like
with randoms, no, I go silent with randoms.
But you do you just play the sound through the speakers through your surround sound or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, through the rig attached to my PC.
Your creative rig or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a really fantastic bloody game. I've got to be honest. The story ended. The single player stuff, which I've also finished, ended way shorter than I expected. The last few missions are actually really short, whereas a lot of the ones leading up to it were multi-part missions where you'd do a bit and then there'd be a loading pause and then there'd be another part, but that extra part would be part of the same mission. Right. And I thought I was doing that towards the end sequence of the game, but no, each one of those loading pauses is a fresh mission, and it's like, oh, okay, no, I'm just rattling through this now. So it's not as long as I thought it was, but it does have some neat stuff going on still. I don't think it's as mind blowing as perhaps some of the internet wants it to be.
I mean, the thing is,
it didn't strike me as quite so amazing.
There hasn't been a good FPS campaign, I don't think,
No.
for a while. I mean, I know that's quite sweeping, and you like some of the Call of Duty stuff, but
Doom.
Oh yeah, okay, so Doom, but Doom is different, I think, because it.
So Doom.
Yeah, but I mean, of a kind of, I don't know. There's no Half-Life. That's what I'm complaining about. And if this is anything towards something like that, then that can only be a good thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's that feel, if that's what you're going for. It still has that. If anything, it has more of a Call of Duty vibe, because of course it would. But at least it does feel like a story. It does feel like there's you start somewhere and you get somewhere, and it's good for that. It is, as I say, it's pretty short. So it's like there's no point in which you can be bored with it.
Sounds great. I'm still interested.
Yeah. There's just one level where it's really clever. There's this one mission in particular where it does some cool stuff.
For some reason, I've started wondering about a headset. Like, I remember years ago, I used to have a surround sound headset. I wonder if they've come on these days. Whether you could get like a USB one that was sounded really good.
Yeah, I don't know. There are some. There are still some about that claim to be 3D sound headsets and things.
Yeah, that old pair that I had was pretty decent, but it ran on it had an amplifier that had to have its own power, and you plug that through the 3 wires of the surround sound system.
I think they've now made a pair that I think I saw on. There's a bit in Amazon now where it's like, hey, here's a load of products that were kickstarted.
Yeah.
There's one. I think there's a headset in there that does a little bit of head tracking. So if you for some, which is dumb.
like a track IR, that would be awesome.
Yeah, a little bit. So if you turned away from the screen for whatever reason, the sound moves with your head.
Oh no! I see. For the just for the sound. Okay.
Yeah,
it's
just
sense.
A headset, but yeah.
I guess that.
Well, it sort of makes sense, except if you're playing a game, you're looking dead ahead.
Almost
right,
always.
unless you've got VR. But in VR, you'll be in theory,
maybe with track IR
anyway.
it would make sense. I still think track IR is interesting, and kind of cool, like halfway step towards, well, not halfway, quarter-way step towards VR.
Yeah, I don't know. It's sort of if you have one of those ultra-wide monitors, maybe it makes more sense.
Yeah,
but,
that's how you do it, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah.
But on a regular monitor, I'm not sure I get it, because it'd be like in order to make it work well, you have to have exaggerated movements, I guess.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah.
So you have to keep your head quite still if you want to look forwards.
Yeah. Don't go like that. I think I'm definitely more on board with the idea of VR than that.
Well, yeah, but it's massively more convenient. I suppose. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, cool.
So Titanfall. Super kick-ass. It would be nice to have other people to play with. So if either of you come in on it, please let me know, because it's great.
Shit though, because I haven't played any FPSs for so long. I need to freaking practice.
Well, I guess that's the other weird thing about this. There's no skill rating in there at all. Apparently, it does some behind the scenes, so for matchmaking purposes. But you only really ever get exposed your player level, which is always going to go up, right? So there's no competitive mode. There's no nothing like that. So there's no ranking at all, which is interesting. It's just okay, you've chosen not to do that. That said, it might come, because as I say, everything they add to this game will be free, but. That in itself, you could argue, is a massive question mark. It's how much are they going to be adding to this game if it hasn't sold that well?
I know. Sad times.
It's a real bummer. This game deserves way more. In my eyes, it deserves more than Battlefield, honestly.
Yeah.
It's...
Well, this Battlefield specifically as well.
Well, I still think this is one of the best Battlefields we've had in friggin' ages. It's up there with 3, and if not better. It's properly good. Anyway, Titanfall 2. I dipped a little bit into the Plague Knight campaign in Shovel Knight. which is the free add-on for it.
Sure.
I'm not sure I like that very much. It's like you basically go through all the same levels again, but as a different character with different moveset, like a completely different moveset. It's not as extensive as I thought it would be, but that moveset is kind of awkward. It's like you don't jump very high, but you can hold X to charge up a launcher effectively. So you jump and then release X to do your launcher, and then you have to try and get that right to get where you need to go, and it's actually really quite difficult. Is that the news alarm?
It sounds, and I don't know why. No, it's not. It's another kind of alarm. Which I can't stop. Shut the fuck up. It wants my password. I don't want to sign into the iTunes store, you son of a bitch.
Just as Rob,
I hate Apple stuff lately. It's being lame. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit disappointed. I don't like as much as I liked normal Shovel Knight. Like playing it again with a more awkward control scheme isn't that appealing. It's like some of the dialogue is kind of okay, but it's just not. It's not doing it for me. So I don't know if I'll stick with that. I did it once and then haven't gone back to it. Don't know. So what else is there? There's been I actually after we I don't know why I suddenly had an urge to play a roguelike. And of all the things I had lying about, I went back to Coin Crypt for a couple of hours. That weird ass one we did a video of a few months back. It's still kind of weird. And I haven't. I can't quite figure out what the tactic to be good is at that.
No,
because it just feels so random. Like with money, all the actions you can take, having to be things you find. It's like playing Final Fantasy, but the only things you can ever do are items.
It's like playing modern Paper Mario game.
Oh, snap!
Sick burns.
Yeah, sick paper burns.
Paper cut.
Yeah, a sick burn site. Sick man. Yeah, that game's really weird. Yeah. Anyway, it satisfied my need at the time for a quick roguelike. What else has been happening? I've been playing Thumper.
Oh, what's that?
So, back at EGX last year, I stumbled upon, I think it was in Sega's Left Field collection, little area that they always have at EGX. I stumbled upon this little rhythm game where you're a chrome space beetle hurtling along a little highway. And it self-describes itself as rhythm violence, and it's like, this is super intense. And I'm like, well, I better have a go at this. Okay. So I played through its entire first level, which is what they had there, and friggin' loved it. So that game finally came out this year, and so I picked it up pretty much immediately. And I say pretty much immediately; it's been out a little while, but it's I had to pick it up this year, and it's pretty good. If very friggin' hard.
Okay.
It's an odd one because it's like they go deep on its concept. Like, it's a massive conceptual experiment, effectively, in that it's designed to just assault you. It's everything on screen moves ridiculously fast.
Okay.
The audio is super oppressive. Like, it's not cheery music in any way. It's like thumping drums make sense, but it's like real heavy ass sort of percussion with like droning off key strings and odd noises, and it's like a wall of noise.
Sounds delightful.
Yeah, but it does come together in the way that they're obviously going for. It's supposed to be brutal. It's supposed to feel rough,
right?
And in that way, they totally nail it. Like, there was a good article, I think it was on Rock Paper Shotgun recently. They have this feature they call the mechanic, and they did a little bit on Thumper's turns, which is a good read. Like, why do the turns in this game feel so good? And it's the physicality of how hard it feels you slam into them, and just how precise you have to be if you want that perfect turn ding to play as you go into it. It's like wham as you hit it, and it's solid and great. And it's like, without those things, that game wouldn't be what it is. And it's there's something to all of that. Saying that, it would have been nice if there was a little more musicality to it. Because it's just a little too out there sometimes. Like, the rhythms aren't really rhythms. They're just like, here's some stuff on screen, do it at the right time. It's like they're still following a time signature, but it's not one you can really put in your head easily, I guess, unless you're like a musician, a jazz musician, probably. Because they do this thing where each world is, as you progress through the game, like, each world's time signature is equal to the world number you're on. So, world one is world one is a nice slow sort of like one beat, I guess, which is actually quite cool, because they do some more stuff in that first level musically than probably any of the others. And then world 2, they pick up the tempo a bit and add some mechanics. World 3, you're then getting into weird land, right? So you're then doing like waltz beats.
Yeah, of course.
And it starts to get a bit awkward. Yeah. World 4 is great. That's good. Proper 4/4, and that's a fun level. World 5, oh my word, that's weird.
Well, like da 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 da.
Yeah, but like, it's not nearly as neat as that, because you don't get that repetition in Thumper, really.
Okay.
All you really have in the background are these like, just basically these drums, just like da 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 da, like, just going the whole time. And it's like, like, everything you're doing is what makes up the music. Like, slamming into the ground plays a big old boom sort of bass drum. Turns are like your snares, and then you get these little barriers that are like tick 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 when you go through them and things like that. So you what is coming at you is the rhythm,
right?
And it's tricky to grasp. It really is. But you do occasionally. It's weird. You come in and out. Like, the levels are long as well. So the structure of the game is actually quite generous in a way, in that, like, while the phrases you go through are really tough, whenever you die, you don't restart the level. You only restart that phrase. So if you're crap at rhythm games, you can at least get through the game eventually, is the idea. And even if you step away from the game, you can come back at the last phrase you got to, so you don't have to restart an entire level. But if you chose to do something else, you can't go back to a specific phrase in the level, right? It's like a quit and save, and then you can come back to the point you left it. So it's there's some niceties there. Where the game is really harsh is if you want to do like S runs. So it has. But even then, it has some help for you. It's like if you S rank a phrase, then you'll carry on to the next one. You go fine, and if you then balls up the next one, it has a restart system where you can go. Actually, no, go back to the last phrase. I want to do that again, and it doesn't penalize you for doing that. So if you want to S rank a level, you need to S rank every phrase in it. So you can just keep playing a phrase until you S rank it, and then move on, and then keep playing it until you S rank that and move on. And that's actually quite cool as well. It's like, it's almost like learning to drive in a racing game, learning a track. It's like, I want to perfect this turn.
Yeah. Cool.
So there's an element of, that if you get into that sort of like, I need to perfect this mentality, they at least help you out a bit there. In achieving that. And there's achievements for S ranking stages. So, there's an incentive to do that. So yeah, it's pretty good, but it's quite weird, and it's clearly not going to be for everyone, and it's probably not going to be for a large portion of people at all, to be honest.
Okay, fair. Well, give it a try. It's on Steam there, right?
It's on Steam and PS4, and most intriguingly, PSVR.
Oh god. That's going to be an experience.
Yeah.
Jeez. Do you know anyone with a PSVR? Is Jay going to
I do not. I don't know anyone with PSVR.
I kind of want to try that.
I don't know anyone with VR in general.
Oh, I've sort of got.
Actually, no, I sort of indirectly.
VR.
I sort of indirectly know people with VR. I think some old colleagues at some company have some VR stuff, but yeah. Not one I have easy access to. I really want to do some more. It seems super cool.
I just want to play Res now.
Yeah.
VR.
Yeah.
And the best thing I played so far is the archery minigame in the Valve pack.
Oh, in the lab.
Yeah. It's really good.
Trying to think what else I've been playing. That's probably the bulk of it. I mean, we played some more Rocket League a little bit after their last update.
Yeah, they actually patched in their new map.
Yeah, the Octagon.
As predicted.
Did you play that?
Space theme.
Yeah.
It's alright.
It's alright.
Inoffensive for a weird shaped map, I suppose.
Yeah. It's a little weird because you've got to get used to it. It's extra wide.
More angles.
Yeah, it's extra wide, and because it's an octagon shape, like you can't just I don't know, yeah, getting like wall tactics to head it towards the goal and stuff is actually more difficult. Like you've got to make straighter shots and
sort of more difficult. It's just like it's not it's almost impossible to do like hits off the wall. But if you hit it into the wall at the right angle, it will go straight.
There's still a route, but like they're different, and they're not as. I don't think there's as many wall setups you can perform.
No, it always seems like when it's at the goal, it's just because it's at the goal. It's not like it's come in from somewhere else.
Yeah,
or at least not yet. I mean, maybe once people get used to it more.
Yeah, maybe some of those tactics will come out, or people will find the angle or a way of knocking it off the corners that's really bloody hard to predict. And that's pretty much it, really. You know, there's some new items and some new cars to buy.
Still ended season 3 though.
Yeah, competitive is still on. And Overwatch. I've been playing some Overwatch. Yeah, I said I was going to get to that. The Winter Wonderland thing is on. So what that basically means is there's some festive themed skins and items in the game again that are only going to be available for a limited period, but their rarity seems lower this time compared to previous events. So if you wanted to buy them with the in-game currency, the barrier isn't so high this time. Also, that they've added like a wintry brawl mode. So they have a special mode this time, which is a maze snowball offensive, and it's basically Counter-Strike for Overwatch, which is kind of odd.
Sweet.
So you basically you're all forced to play as May, and everyone only has one snowball in their gun, and it's one hit kill. So you sort of have this weird sort of like tense, like, oh, I've got to land this shot, but if you don't land the shot, then you're out of ammo. What do? You have to go find a snow pile and then spend some time packing it into your gun so you can get an extra shot. And it's an elimination style game.
Right, little bit of insta-jib fun.
Yeah, I mean it's okay, but if you put that next to the rest of Overwatch, it's really boring.
Well, yeah. That sounds fine.
Yeah, and a couple of the levels have had festive overhauls, so a couple of the levels are now snowy, which they did for Halloween. They turned one of the levels all Halloweeny, so they turned a couple of different levels all snowy this time. And that's pretty much all that's happening in Overwatch land. There's a new map coming fairly soon, finally, called Oasis, which is apparently in test right now. So, new maps, hooray!
What, with like a beach theme or something?
I have no idea. I haven't actually looked into what it is, but yeah.
Desert theme, I suppose.
Yeah. I haven't actually looked into what it is. I just know it's coming. So that would make it 2 maps since it's released, if you exclude the elimination map. But
what's the magic number for the UZEG to try it again? 0.
I don't know when that's going to happen.
Hasn't really bothered me, to be honest. That I mean, I'd like there to be more content, of course, but it's like it's never felt like a problem playing it, if you know what I mean.
Well, Zach played it for like a week or something before he decided there wasn't enough content.
I didn't play it for like a week.
Didn't you?
It was the beta weekend or something.
Yeah, played it for like 2 sessions.
Okay.
Played it for like, I don't know, 8 hours. Probably.
Two pretty good sessions.
Don't even remember. Played like every map during that beta.
You'll do that.
But what's the problem with that? Getting that done.
There is I do think the hero mix-up is what keeps it feeling fresh, right? Certain games will be like people playing with different tactics and stuff like that because that's what their characters allow them to do, and certain combinations and things like that. It does work. They have achieved, I think, what they wanted to with it being, a hero shooter and the advantages thereof.
Yeah.
And the constant adjustments they've been making are quite. Symmetra is like almost a totally different character now. They've changed like a couple of her core abilities. She now has 2 ultimates, which is really odd
because it's called an ultimate.
Yeah.
Although not like her ultimate was ultimate, really.
Well, yeah, her teleport.
Wow, that teleport.
Yeah. So her new ultimate is she puts down a shield generator. So if anyone walks, so she used to have the ability of like you press
tiny shitty
press
shield
E to put a tiny amount of shield on people. Like, so that's now changed, and it's like as long as this shield generator is alive, everyone gets bigger amounts of shield. And that old ability that she has is gone. That doesn't exist anymore, and that's now been replaced by a sort of Reinhardt style shield wall can be put up that she can fire into the air that will just fly ahead of her for a while. So she's actually a way more useful offensive character now, rather than her strictly defensive stance that she had before. So there's a lot of people playing her right now. Which is actually quite frustrating because there's too many people playing her right now. But
that's the way the news goes.
Same with Widowmaker, actually. A lot of Widow sort of fell out of the meta for a while, and now there seems to be tons of people playing her. So I don't know what they've changed there. Anyway, yeah, Overwatch.
Sweet.
You should all be playing Overwatch. Join us.
Or Titanfall, or something.
Or both. Play them all.
Or Battlefield.
All great. It's a good year. I'm out. Who's next?
Zeg, what have you been playing?
Well, apart from a bunch of Rocket League and briefly logging into Eve a few times, because now that you get free accounts, I was like, I can log into all 3 of my Eve accounts. Start them all trading, except not, because, well, I guess my main character can't trade anything, so I'm trading Dr. Nick.
Okay.
He can still trade stuff.
Why? Have you run out of things to trade?
Well, it's because of the limited skill set that you can trade on the free accounts. Obviously, my main character has all of those skills.
All the skills, right.
And then a whole shit more skills than that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can just trade the secondary characters on this account, and then on my secondary accounts, on my second and third accounts, I was like, I can probably trade them as well. Except, actually, as it turns out, not really. Because at some point in the past, when they were messing around with skills, they basically gave people a bunch of skill points to assign just for free. It was like when they fucked up, and sometimes they do it when they eliminate skills. Like if they remove the necessity for a skill, it's like, oh, we'll just give you some skill points to refund the training time you put into those skills that are no longer useful. And there was a couple of times when they were, I can't remember what they did. I think it's just when they had a really long downtime a couple of times. They were like, no one could get in to set new skills, so we're giving you some free skill points for the excessively long downtime or whatever. So when I logged into my second and third accounts, which I hadn't played since then, it was like, well, technically they do have things that they can trade, except that I've got a big pile of skill points that I can just assign to all these skills and complete them immediately. So it's like, I guess none of these second accounts can actually trade anything.
Oh, right. Because they've just built up so much free stuff.
Yes, because they've just got enough free skill points to complete all the skills that they can possibly actually do. So I did that. And then, of course, the other trouble was logging back into the second and third accounts. It's like, what are these characters even for? What was I doing? Where are they? Where's all their stuff? And then the other
out what they're for?
Well, I vaguely remember. I mean, my second account, the main character on that one was actually quite an advanced character, like up to battleships. And then, at one point, I was dual doing missions with like my main character and the secondary character together in one mission, 2 battleships. So that character, I more or less knew what was going on, and I'd already. I think when first time I let that account lapse, I'd already transferred stuff to my main character, some of the stuff that I thought was worthwhile. So that was okay. But the third account, I was like, I don't even remember what I was doing with this. I remember that I made a Caldari because I wanted to try missiles, because I basically had never actually used missiles as a main weapon. But then I was like, I don't remember where I was doing missions and where I even am and what all this stuff means. He has a lot of ships. I think that was during a period when the tutorial just gave you like every frigate. As you went through the tutorial missions, you just got a new frigate every couple of missions, and it just gave you all of them essentially. So he has a bunch of ships, and I don't know shit about Caldari ships, and they've all been rebalanced since then too. Now they're all specific for like certain roles. And then the other problem with logging into those old accounts was that I hadn't played them since they did the 3D character models, so I had to actually make models for them because it won't let you in the game until you've done that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I was like, I don't remember what these people look like. One of them I have a screenshot of where I was like, I'll try and recreate that, except you can't really because it's practically impossible to recreate the old style characters in the new editor. So yeah, got through that, looked in there. They're doing their Christmas thing.
What's that?
New gifts every day. You get a random something out of this box. Usually a ship skin. Well, at least the first day I did it was ship skins. I haven't seen what the next one is.
So usually, as in that one time.
Well, the thing is, because I logged into all 3 characters, I was like, maybe it's random or maybe it's like different.
Or the same gift for everyone. Or
yeah, it's labelled as the same gift. It's like this day's gift, so they're doing it daily. But then when I opened it, it was like they were all ship skins, but they were not like the same ship skin. It was like, here's one of this set of ship skins.
All right.
They're they're called like Glacier or Blizzard or something. But they're basically just like, they have like blue and white camo essentially.
Fair enough. Yeah, makes sense. What if you got a duplicate? Like just skins like that, like sellable items?
You can put them onto the market if you don't use them. But of course, the market is flooded with them because all the people who don't want them are immediately selling them. Even though they're apparently for quite a range of different ships. But when you have a slight amount of collector instinct, you're like, no, I just want to keep them. I want the massive bank of ship skins. Even though it was just like the one that I got on my main character was like an Amar ship, and it's like I'm never ever going to fly a fucking Amar ship on this character specifically. Although I might, but not that Amar ship, not like a shitty frigate or something. So yeah, that was Eve. And then we talked about Rocket League, and then just more Planet Coaster. They did their winter update.
Yeah, so what's in that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the main thing in terms of like content is they put an entire like Arctic skin in, basically. There's a snow-covered Arctic level, and it has like Christmas-themed items, like Christmas trees, and basically it's Candyland, like gingerbread houses and stuff to build with the building parts.
The land of chocolate.
The trouble is that they've continued down the same weird, like kind of awkward path that they'd already established in the base game, where like things that should really be like ride options are just like completely separate rides. So like they put in a new track ride, like one of those slow moving cars on a rail kind of things, and it's like Christmas themed, so it's like sleighs. But they put it in as like a separate one, and they already had in the base game 2 other ones, and that just changed the car basically. And it's like, really, it's how it used to do it.
Be a combo box.
Yeah, it's like how they used to do it in old roller coaster tycoon was just a drop down. You choose the type of train, but they didn't do that in this game, and they're continuing not to do it.
Weird.
I think they should just fix that and just make it an option.
Yeah.
I mean, I think maybe the track does change slightly too on the festive one. It looks wider, I think.
But then if it's the same layout, what's the problem? Could they just make it wider and then change the combo?
Yeah. Should just be able to set that at, like, when you build the station, choose that there before you start building the track, maybe. And then if the track is wider, so it would interfere with it or whatever. It could just be a singular type of ride that should have that option. But I don't know. Or just make the wide width, like the track width part of the options as well.
Maybe.
There do seem to occasionally be like weirdly pointless things that you can change. Like there's some kinds of roller coaster that have like 2 types of basic track for no apparent reason. Where it's like the second type, it just has like a thicker support. Like maybe if you want to make it look cool, but there doesn't seem to be any actual purpose to it. Which is kind of strange.
There's probably a lot of stuff in that game that has actually no real purpose, right? The music choice.
Yeah, but that's decorative in a different way. That's like, because it's like when you're building the coaster, this is an actual option you can click when you're choosing what type of, like, alongside like brakes and chain lift and stuff. It's just like, here's a different kind of track.
So you could alternate bits of track in the same layout, you mean?
Yeah. It just seems kind of weirdly pointless. I mean, I guess technically it's still as pointless as where you have a checkbox in the option to turn on the catwalk. So if you want to make it look real, have your catwalk going up next to the lift hill.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's the winter theme, the winter items. There's actually a couple of new rides, which is maybe the more important thing, which aren't winter themed, luckily.
So flatland rides.
Yeah, flat rides. There's like one of those spinning things that starts off flat and then angles upwards.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
Which seems to be sci-fi themed, which is nice because there weren't really many specifically sci-fi themed rides.
The cube!
The cube's generically themed, that doesn't count as sci-fi. Technically, you can put that anywhere. It's just it automatically fits in sci-fi better.
Yeah. Cube!
And then also bumper cars.
Well, okay.
Classic.
Yeah.
Although I was thinking about how that actually works, because the way that rides work, where they have their animation, and that is the ride sequence. I bet the bumper cars have exactly the same animation every time. I bet that's not at all actually.
Do you remember when bumper cars had to say no collisions, like on real bumper car rides?
Well, there was like the health and safety moment.
Yeah, it's such a weird thing. It's like, we've designed this ride so like where the fun is running into each other. Let's put a giant sign up saying, yeah, you can't do that one thing that these cars are for.
It's because they didn't design them well enough. They didn't give them enough padding.
It's a skill challenge to make sure you can drive around in a perfect circle without hitting anybody.
Yep, exactly.
And then you can feel really satisfied at the end of it that you did nothing.
I didn't really watch the whole animation for the bumper cars because I haven't built them yet, but I saw a video of it, and it does look like they don't collide virtually ever.
Yeah, right.
One of them collides with the edge.
Right. You reckon it's all canned then? Like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's probably just an animation that, like, it just plays the whole animation and it's set every time the same. Which is awkward, but I guess it's fine.
Yeah. Suppose it doesn't really matter, but
no.
It would be better if it was a little simulation going on.
Yeah, it'd be much cooler. It's just like how, like, people were always complaining about how they didn't put go-karts in this game because that was a roller coaster tycoon classic.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, that would
be kind of cool.
But that would have to be simulated.
You reckon?
Well, you couldn't really have, because you're building a track design.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah, they'd need to have something on it, like some excitement ratings or whatever.
Well, and it would have to be like the position of the cars couldn't be predetermined if you had track pieces that you'd build. So that I guess that's quite a lot of work.
Doable.
Because if you think about how it used to work in Roller Coaster Tycoon, that was weird. I mean, it was a simulated actual race, and the cars moved at different speeds, and like they overtook each other. And then the guy who won did a victory lap because of the weird way it was programmed.
It was awesome. They should put that back in eventually.
Yeah, probably. I mean, more customizable. Like, I mean, I don't have a problem so much of like things that are missing in terms of like rides, but I just think they should have put more customization into the rides that are already there. It's like when you've got the carousel, it's like, why can't you make it a sci-fi themed carousel with like little space rockets or something? Just make that a skin for it, essentially. But you can't. It's always the same carousel. And the same for a lot of those other rides that have like kind of built-in theming.
Yeah, why can't we make the horses on this carousel like neon unicorns?
Yeah, exactly.
Space unicorn.
It would only have to be like a couple of options to slightly better like the regular carousel goes okay in the fantasy and pirate theme.
Sure.
But then the sci-fi carousel, you should have like a little sci-fi modification, make it fit in that theme.
Lasers coming out the top.
Yeah.
Just spin lasers.
I mean, you can do theming around it to try and make it fit in, but that doesn't help with it. It's just still horses and carriages. And then there was a few other things that got added in the winter patch too that weren't specifically to do with winter, like much better management screens, so you can actually manage things from the management screens.
Okay.
It was kind of important because before it was just like you go to the management screen, it's like your worker's name, and you click on the button to open their actual window where you can do things.
Oh, right. So they streamlined it like we talked about that, didn't we?
Yeah.
So they've made it so you can change things straight in that.
Yeah, it's just in the list.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And then for the rides, the same thing. It has like, it tells you like the monthly profit, and you can open and close stuff from that window. You can promote people from their list.
Yeah, okay. Brilliant.
So that's nice.
Yeah.
And they also introduced a slightly weird mechanic of like what they call prestige for rides, which is sort of like aging, I guess.
Right.
Where like rides start off popular when they're new, and then they get less popular as they age, but then they become popular again as they become classic. And that seems to be like dependent on the scenery around the ride in some way. Like having more scenery makes them progress through that faster or something.
Oh, well, what's but they could get less popular quicker?
Maybe, I don't know. It's like it's not a very specific system. It's just like when you in the ride information, it shows a 5-star rating and like a number next to it, and like you mouse over it, it says this is the ride's prestige. It's based on the scenery around the thing. It doesn't tell you what the fuck the stars mean, or what the number means, or how that changes. It just says it changes every ride, and it's like what does that even mean? So a lot of people have been complaining where it's just like all this means is like when your ride gets unpopular, you just demolish it and build the exact same one in the same place and it resets. It's like yes, I guess you could do that.
Yeah. At the cost of money, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, would that outweigh the popularity bonus?
It's like, I mean, if every ride can become classic, then you don't have to do that, right?
But then did classics become more popular than normal popular rides?
Yeah. It's just like, it's not specific enough. It doesn't give you enough information to actually know how this system is meant to work yet, really. And then there's a few other bits and pieces to do with simulating things. Actual changes to the like coaster simulation in some cases. Seemed like I'd always suspected that this was why a couple of my coasters were weird, but the thing where people like what they call duck moments in the patch notes, where it's like do the hands over the face shielding thing. Apparently those do actually affect the stats. And I was never entirely sure that they did, but apparently they do. And so supposedly they've never like reduced how much fear that generates or whatever per each time it happens. So like,
so the first time it happens, it's still a big deal, but then if it happens a lot, they're just like
maybe or something.
Well, like Tony Hawk's of duck.
But several of my like all the coasters that I had running, like the stats improved slightly. So I was like, oh, that's good. Maybe it's slightly better. And then actually like a really surprisingly large like number of audio things, audio improvements. I mean, the audio in that game is already great, but they still continue to work on it. Like they made it so when people are screaming, they start off screaming a lot, but then if the fear continues for too long, they can't scream so much.
Oh, right.
So it like fades out the screams, even though it's continuing to be fearful or whatever.
I can't anymore. I just can't take it.
Actual realism in people's voices.
What they really should is they just sort of have recorded some more audio of people like with like in like my voice is gone screaming.
Yeah, maybe.
Gurgles, lots of gurgling.
So yeah, some quite nice improvements in general to the actual like mechanics of the game, and a couple of new rides, so that's good. So hopefully they'll do more.
Yeah, hopefully they'll make a jumbo chief beef man.
Oh, and
they can just take over the entire
most important
park.
thing for Rob. They've added a pizza shop.
Shit, yeah.
So there you go.
Does it have a brand name with a noise attached to it?
Kinda. The thing about these new shops they added a bunch. There's like an entire new brand for like juice and like flavored water. I can't remember what it was called. Pip Shot?
Squash.
Yeah, basically. And then
shop.
There's like donuts and the pizza, and I think there's another one I don't remember. But
Speaking of pizza, there's a pizza man outside. That was well timed.
It's not for us.
No.
But they all have like, they technically have brands. I'm not sure if they have sound effects. I haven't actually built any of them yet. In the video I was looking at, I didn't notice. But the trouble is that they may have brands. Like the pizza one is called Pizza Pen, which is
what?
Well, it's meant to be. it's meant to be a sub-brand of Chief Beef again, because it's like the pizza is like a bandit. And I think then like the pen is like locking him up, except that's not a very good word for that.
No.
Pizza prison, surely.
I thought it was like pen, pineapple.
Pizza prison. I don't think I'd visit pizza prison.
Pizza penitentiary.
Yeah. I mean, if I was...
It's better.
It's got to be in it.
If anything was going to get me into a life of crime, that might be it.
But yeah, so it looked like it has some amount of branding on the shop, but they didn't include any of the other items, like the signs, for any of these new shops. So it kind of sucks. Which is like, I can place this shop, but I can't have a giant sign that says Pizza Pen, or like a little neon sign, or a projecting sign, or a little stand-up, whatever, wind-blowy, fluffy sign.
A massive donut.
Yeah, or a giant donut, or any other feeling. It's like, that's kind of missing. Hopefully they'll do that.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
Donut?
Pizza Pen.
I mean, technically, some of the shops that are already there don't have as much
branding
as some of the other ones. Only Chief Beef gets the giant Chief Beef statue.
No giant cow.
No. So yeah, Black Coast is still playing that. I've been Cosmic. I've been making a series of blog posts on Giant Bomb about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do we find those?
Website.
Yeah,
You've been making a series of blog posts on Happy Salad.
I've been using their much better tools for making blogs on a website that's much better at making blogs than our one is.
Much better tools.
Because you can put pictures in way easier.
What are you talking about? That's WordPress. The standard freaking blogging platform of the entire internet that we use.
I tell you, Giant Bombs is easier. You pre-upload them all into your Giant Bomb thing, and then you just hit a button and it appears, and you can choose whether it's left or right, or all that stuff.
You can do all that.
Yeah, you can do all that, but not as quick.
Yeah.
We'll do it anyway.
Whatevs.
You're misrepresenting!
And I kind of wanted to make a video, but then I was like, this is never going to work. I'm not going to be able to record and play this game on my system as it stands. It's basically 100% CPU at all times. So adding recording for that, probably not going to work very well.
Fair enough.
And didn't actually try it. I mean, maybe it just does actually work. It just makes the game run not actually that much worse. I don't know. You'd think it probably would make it run quite a lot worse, though.
It depends, yeah.
I mean, technically, I could limit how many people there are on my park. That might limit the CPU use. Because that's an option you can just choose.
Yeah, is it?
You can just be like, how many people do you want maximum? Just set that in the menu with the opening times. And I worked out what the opening times are actually for. Now that I've played a game where you can change them. All it really does is change, basically how much of the day you see.
Right.
So you set your opening times, and that basically changes what part of the day it skips over at the end of the month. So if you want a part that's all night time, you can just set opening time at 9 and closing at 4, and then you'll only see night.
Right, but that doesn't actually affect the actual time?
No, it doesn't actually affect anything to do with how your park actually runs.
Because that's what we were worried about, right? If you said a park that was only open for an hour, would that be a significant handicap?
Well, I do wonder how that would actually look, though. I guess it would just look like...
The lighting would change.
Yeah, the light would change, because it would be 1 hour spread over however many minutes the actual cycle is. And then you'd have a weird bit where the lighting very quickly changed between.
Oh yeah, that's nice today.
Loop back through it. I didn't try using park entry fee instead of per ride tickets. Supposedly that just doesn't work.
Right.
From what people have been saying. I mean, I guess that makes sense.
It's too difficult.
Yeah, it's just the game isn't really designed to handle it that well because of the way people think, the thoughts of people compared, the price of a ride compared to how exciting it is and stuff like that. It messes with it too much, and you just don't make very much money from people entering the park.
Well, you'd have to push up the prices of all your food and drink, surely.
Yeah, I guess. But then how tolerant are people of that? Oh yeah, that's another thing they added. And there's just a button in shops where you can sync the prices of all the same kind of shop, which is nice.
Okay, that sounds good.
So if you fuck around with the extras and individual prices on the items, you can just have that be the same everywhere.
That makes sense. Because you wouldn't really want that to be Coke to be a different price everywhere.
Unless you were being a particular jerk. And the extra to this ride, it's hella expensive.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people here.
That's Pat Coaster.
So here we have all our $5 cake.
Or maybe you could do the opposite. Be like, Coke over here is super cheap because I want people to come over here.
I guess, yeah. This part of the park has not enough people in it. It's like this cheap food aisle.
The only free toilets in the park are over there.
Yeah. I'll probably do it. God, non-free toilet. What an ass.
People don't seem to complain about it much.
Really?
Well, at like $1. I haven't seen anyone complain about $1.
$1? That's really high.
Well, not really. It'd be like 50p, right?
60.
Yeah, well, nowadays.
That's still high. No one pays 60p for a poo.
The only time I've ever seen people complain was when I put first aid up to like $5.
Wait,
What?
first aid?
Charge for first aid.
Well, it's not really first aid. It's like it reduces their nausea. So it's like it's just a quick way for people to recover from extreme rides.
Oh, right. So it's like a store that sells paracetamol.
Yeah,
basically. It's not first aid. It's,
Okay.
Yeah.
Anti-vomit.
Popping pills.
But I was like, $5, that should be cheap enough. But apparently that's too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
People started complaining about that. Put it at $2 and they don't complain. I've refrained from charging for ATMs though, because I'm not a complete bastard.
Yeah,
Good.
that's wrong.
Like, you want them to use the ATM
To get their money.
to get more money so they can spend it on all this other crap,
Yeah.
not on the ATM.
Do they charge at ATMs inside like Alton Towers? Probably.
I don't know. Not sure if I've ever had that problem anyway where I've needed to have a surplus of cash.
Yeah, you normally think ahead in real
Yeah.
life. You don't normally go there and spend all your cash and then be like, well, fuck, I'm going to buy it and get some more money.
Well, like, the majority of places will take card for what we do there anyway. Like,
Yeah.
food, have a card. It's not like they have an arcade in there.
No. You don't need a surplus of £1 coins. You can
Yeah.
even get that out of an ATM, so you'd be too
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, you have to get some actual cash, and then you have to find a change machine in the inside arcade.
Yes.
2-step cam conversion.
So that's that. Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Okay.
Except not
Roller
roller
coaster.
coaster tycoon.
It's basically
Roller coaster.
Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Play that. Right.
Coaster tycoon.
Is that you done?
Yep.
Oh.
Okay. What have I been playing? Not much. I played more Civ, I guess, but not much to report. I tried to play a game where I didn't get screwed over by religion, but then I got screwed over by the fact that I didn't have everything else at the same level that I did before. And I was like, oh, this is annoying. And I'm still trying to work out how many cities you're supposed to have, like, for a successful Civ, basically. I mean, the trouble is, like, if I make a lot of... I was trying to make a bunch of settlers at the start, but there's not that much in terms of resources around me. So I still think the best tactic is to at least invade one other civ or a bunch of city-states early on. But they still hate you as a warmonger no matter what you do. Like, I swear I didn't go to war with anyone. Like, I took over one city-state, and everyone's like, oh, you're a warmonger. It's like I never declared war on any civ, and they still all hate me for no reason.
Well, they always used to be overly sensitive about city-states in 5. Like,
Yeah.
more so than even, like, actual wars. It's
Actual
like, if you
wars, right.
started fucking with the city-states, they were like, you bastard.
Right.
You're
Okay.
picking on small people.
That is actually true.
Or it's more like, hey, we like this city-state. You're not allowed to like them too.
Well, that was always...
You're not,
Yeah.
you're not
Well,
allowed to, like...
At least
have
this
control
time I
over them.
had a civ that was actually their agenda, because the Greek civs like city-states and want to control them or whatever, and they don't like you messing with them. So that actually makes sense. But like, yeah, I mean, I did better in the previous game where I had a small civ nearby with good resources on their capital that I managed to take really quickly. That seems to be the best, that my general best tactic in Civ is take the nearest Civ and have their capital, so you have 2 capitals worth of good resources. But that was the one where I lost unexpectedly to the religion thing. So I need to. It basically relies on the spawn, because I had another one where I spawned next to Sumeria, and apparently you're fucked if you spawn next to Sumeria, because they have by far the best starter unit, and there's no counter. And they're warlike, so they will just attack you immediately, and you can't really get. I mean, you can survive, but you can't really get a good start.
Yeah.
So I think the spawn is too important. I don't know. I don't know what they could do about that.
Sort of always was, though, wasn't it? Like that game where I was playing as Japan, and it's like, because I seem to have spawned in Civ 5, because I spawned in Barbarian Town. And I got hassled by it seemed like all the barbarians on the bloody map. I didn't get very far.
In Civ 6, you get constant barbarians for everyone, I think. So I think that's a bit more leveled out, because there's just tons of barbarians all the time. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like in my first game, I did really well, and I think part of the reason was I spawned in a nice area with resources, but there was also a massive mountain range block that protected me from everyone. So it was like almost perfect, really. And I haven't really had that since. So I don't really know.
Well, that's why it's like I always ended up trying to play on like the maps. I didn't really like continental maps or anything. I like the more islandy maps where you have a small amount of. You're more likely to get choke points or be able to occupy an entire island to yourself.
Right.
Because then that just makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, maybe I should try that. Like I was trying to go for. I got lucky in the last one, and it was the only civ on the continent. But then I was trying to keep the enemy civs off the continent, but they kept starting.
So if it's too big, cities. You're basically screwed as well. Yeah. Because then you can't occupy the terrain fast enough before the enemy get there.
No, I couldn't. And also there were city-states all over it. So I couldn't get all the resources in it without... That was the problem. And then I attacked one of them, because I was like, well, this is right in the middle of my empire, and I want that city. And then everyone hated me. I was like, well, I don't know. And I'm just sort of behind in terms of science and culture and stuff in ways that I wasn't in the other games. And I wanted to aim for like a science victory or something. I just don't have the production. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that one didn't go that well. So yeah. It
was like that in the Civ 5 when they had the achievements for specific, like win on a specific map type and win on those conditions. Yeah. It was when I was like planning ahead, where I was like, when there's a achievement for winning on a Pangea map where it's all one continent.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll do that combined with the smallest possible map and only one enemy.
Right.
Dramatically reduces the difficulty of the Pangea map.
But I haven't been adjusting anything, so I've just played the full-on default difficulty, the continents map, and default number of people every time. And maybe I should just start adjusting things to make it more.
It's like choke points are just too useful. It's the same thing that I do in Factorio. Where it's like I like the Factorio maps to have the water generation quite high because it creates choke points. It's just easier to defend a choke point than to completely surround your base in a wall.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So yeah, Ziv, I don't know. I have a feeling Game of the Year the strategy part is going to be between the Firaxis games, and I don't really know the answer to that yet, but it's worth thinking about. I think I've played a lot more Civ than XCOM, but I don't know which one's better, really. They're both good. They both are flawed as well. Quite badly as well. So it's really hard to say. But anyway.
Ceilings versus religions.
No, it's not religion that's totally the problem. It's just that I didn't understand it, I think. I mean, although, yeah, I guess it's not that great.
Well, yeah, it's not necessarily a problem. It's your problem.
My problems, yeah, ceilings and religion, yeah. Yeah, and I downloaded Super Mario Run, I guess, but I haven't played much of it. But I don't think I'm going to be very good at that. So, and also, tragic flaw in it is I can't play it on the tube, those bastards. Because it's online.
Because it requires an always online connection, doesn't it? Yeah.
Big failure there. But
that
won't affect most people, but it will.
It's still a bit of a bummer. Like, do you know even why it's there? Like, why it's always on?
And some shit. I don't know. Anyway.
But that's what the Apple Store's for.
I know, but they don't. Obviously, Nintendo are more sensitive than Apple to whatever.
Side loading. They're just like, we don't trust this mobile thing completely, so let's make online only.
That's what they're doing. And also, it doesn't seem. It seems quite slick. I mean, the game itself seems good, obviously, but the menus and stuff and setup and stuff, it doesn't seem all that slick. Like in terms of just the UI and the way there's a lot of loading and shit going on, and to get into the game at the start, there's a lot of mucking about. But anyway, I mean, the first time
a lot of waiting at a lot of waiting at a Niantic logo. Is that? Oh wait.
Oh wait, yeah. This one's actually Nintendo. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe more on that to come.
Potentially. I'll see what games we get for Christmas. Yeah. Steam sale. It's incoming.
Hey. But there was a little sale, wasn't there? Like not that long ago. The full sale happened.
The theoretical Black Friday.
Theoretical Black Friday is right. It's kind of grey. Not black enough. Well,
there'll be Christmas soon, and then join us in the new year, probably, or before even, in Limbo for Game of the Year stuff.
Game of the Year.
I'm also waiting for our Collision Software video to go up. I hope that'll be a Christmas treat.
Maybe. I don't know, that requires work.
I thought
if I can't make new videos, then maybe I
you're going to run through our backlog quite quickly if we can't make any new ones.
Release some stuff. Cool. Well, catch us next time for a special edition of the Saladcast.
It's a special.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.